Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm Helena and I head up the sales and marketing at Sussex Innovation, and I'm standing in for the lovely Daisy this week. She's allowed me to take her seat as hostess or the mostess. And we have joining us this week the lovely Jane from Adoray, who is one of our members, a big branding expert, and just full of so much enthusiasm for what she does that I'm sure you will learn a lot. And I've already had a sneak preview of her presentation, so you're in for a treat. So without further ado, if you've got questions as we go, drop them in the panel, drop them in the chat, and Jane will get to them, or I'll interrupt her to get to them. But otherwise than that, over to Jane.
Right, lovely. Am I actually on the screen? Can you see me on the screen?
Can everybody see Jane? Yes, thank you, Anya.
Right, okay. Let's just do that one, because the talking one I should just come up then. But that's not working. Okay, so I'll leave that. So that's fine. So you've got two of us. So you can see two of us. So I hope that's okay. Listen, guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. I realise how hot it is and how precious time is. So thank you. But I'm really hoping that you're going to find this interesting and of practical help to help you grow your business, especially in these times. Oh, today's subject is the psychology of branding. But I was just talking to Helena then, and I really think that I need to go beyond that. I need to go beyond that to brand as well in order for you to get the most out of this. Our agenda for today is a very quick introduction, so I'm going to spend loads of time on that, and then really focusing on three core areas of focus. So the power of brand, getting psyched, and best friends forever. In terms of kind of like my introduction, the first thing that I want to say, if you're like me, I'm a copious note taker. So please don't worry, you will be receiving a copy of this presentation after the webinar. So just take additional notes if you want to, but you will get a copy of this. So I hope that helps. So a little bit about Adoray and really my background. So I actually got a BA Hons in cognitive psychology and computing science at Sussex University. And I'm absolutely delighted to be back at Sync doing what I love the most, which is obviously working to help them grow and develop brands. And really that set me off on this whole idea of using a unique PsychTech approach to what I do to make sure that the results that I achieve are not just effective through the psychology, but also as efficient as they can be as well through technology. And a little bit about me, which is something quite personal and I use the whole time, and if you're not using it now, you're going to love it. It's the rule of three. People like Thomas Jefferson and Steve Jobs have used this prolifically, and it's really, really great at giving you breadth, but also giving you the focus that you need as well. In terms of marketing, I've got over 20 years experience, full mix. So, you know, if I haven't done it myself, then I've certainly managed it or I've guided it. And that's both B2B and B2C and agency and client side. I have made literally hundreds of thousands of pounds for the companies and the blue chips that I've worked for, like the Body Shop. And I've developed some pretty cool award-winning products and services for those brands as well that I'm very proud of. In terms of Adoray, after a really long career and after setting up a private healthcare clinic, which was like a £17 million business, I really focused on what I'm passionate about and what I know makes a step change and really creates growth for business, which is a strong brand. So whether it's creating a brand, whether it's looking at brand communication, or whether it's, you know, actually developing it and creating new products and new services, that's what I love doing the most. So that's why I set my business up. And I set it up with real purpose as well. I really want to be the catalyst for positive change, not just with business and SMEs, which is obviously my target in terms of who I want to help, but for the community on a wider sense, and also individuals too. And thankfully, you know, I've continued that success in my career, and I'm now helping my clients generate revenues of up to 48% increase, 50% of clients, and 429% return on investment. Right, great. Now that's done. So hopefully, the reason for this is basically, I'm hoping that you'll see that I do know a thing or two, or I have learned a thing or two over the years. So here's the rule of three in action, and you'll see this a lot throughout the presentation. So with anything you undertake, it's really important to set a clear goal and focused objectives. So my goal today really is to help you grow your business in the short term, but in the long term too. And I'm going to help you achieve this by giving you insight into how psychology can help you market more effectively, offering key tech tips to make what you do more efficient, and provide clear actions to help you get started right away. And there'll be a whole list at the end of this presentation. As always, Adaray's aim is always to add value. So there's lots of handy links and tips along the way, and some templates and guides to support you, which you'll be getting sent to you from the lovely Daisy after this, and time for questions at the end, hopefully, if I don't talk too much. So let's get started. So whether it's ready, steady, go, or in 1, 2, 3, the rule of three is so deeply ingrained in our psyche that it's a very powerful tool for you to use in business. So I do encourage you to look at the links that are included in here, read up on it. So our focus area number 1 is the power of brand. So first things first, what is branding? So branding really is, it's a name, a symbol or design associated with a particular company that comes to mind really easily. So it's very identifiable for them. Strong branding can powerfully influence perception, and as such, buying behaviour, which is why it's massively important to obviously invest in that. But like everything else, you know, branding is a work in progress, and as we change, and as your company changes, and as you develop, it might need refining. This is, I don't know whether you've seen this before, but this is Apple's logo progression. And as you can see, it's quite shocking actually, because in 1976, Ronald Wayne created the original Apple logo, which was of Sir Isaac Newton sitting under the tree, and that whole Apple moment of the, you know, the apple dropping and the eureka, aha, really to convey innovation. And I think he used him specifically to inspire trust, because this was a really new brand. And so the old-fashioned look, I think he was trying to inspire trust with it. But obviously fast forward to current times, and you can see, you know, the really sleek application that Apple now has. You know, it's a really simplified iteration, and it reflects a beautifully progressive efficiency. So how do you ensure strong branding? Of course, having a really great talented graphic design helps, but in order for them to do their best, they need a really clear understanding of your brand. And what's your brand? It's the heart and soul of your company. It is an intangible asset in a sense, because it lives in the mind of the consumer. It's their perception of your company, created through their experience with everything you do and project. And you need to be consistent in that behaviour in order to win their trust. But this is really, really great news, because this means that you have real power to change how your clients view your brand, and thus influence their purchase making decisions. So it's definitely a value. And here, as you can see, I've listed down, I've got a graphic of the 10 most valuable brands in 2020. And really your brand can be your company's best asset. Of great value, your brand promotes brand equity, so how important your brand is to your clients, which inspires loyalty. Brand potential, so it helps you attract, retain and motivate top employee talent. And brand value, so it really hits the bottom line. It's about generating higher returns, it's about generating growth and mitigating risks as well, so i.e. loss of revenue. And if you see the top 3 most valuable brands in the world, I don't think this will be a surprise. Amazon's now at the very top. You've got Amazon, Google and Apple, and between the 3 of them, they've got a combined value of over $500 billion. In fact, 520. But remember, okay, I know these are the big guys, but it doesn't matter, whatever size of company, the wise words of Philip Kotler really do need to guide us. And that is, if you are not a brand, you are a commodity. And then price is everything. And the low cost producer is the only winner. So it doesn't matter if you're a one-man band or whether you're a multinational company, if you really want to grow your business and resonate with your ideal clients, attract, engage and keep them, then you need to develop your brand and find your purpose. But let's take a real life look at Kotler's theory, because I do want you to come away really understanding this and having some practical application for it. So if you look at these 3 lamps, I've chosen these just off the internet, they've all got the same function, but wildly different prices. I can tell you, deep intake of breath, that one of these lamps is worth over £2,000. I know. Can you place them in price order? Which one? Just by looking at the images, just by image alone, can you place them in order?
It's like the Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I love Antiques Roadshow. It's like a comfort blanket. It's well, the thing is, it's really hard to tell from the design only. So you have to go beyond that. You have to go, you know, to the communication side of things. And if you like, mini brand stories. So what these different brands do is they create stories around their products. Some, as you can see, are quite lengthy and others are very short. So if you look at lamp number 1, really their whole focus is provenance. So they're talking about Portugal and its rich history of ceramic art. And I've pulled out some words in bold for you to have a look at. The second lamp is talking about the designer, Max Ingram, for Fontana Arts. And the last one is just a very functional focus. So, you know, finished in a light neutral cream colorway. And they've got names as well. So the first one is the Dar Nushra. I've been trying to practice these. The second one is Fontana, 1853. And the last one is just simply Oslo. So I think this gives you more of an inkling of which one is potentially the most expensive. The reveal. It's actually number 2. It's the designer one. And it's 2,300 and really odd pricing, 0.75. I think that's to do with charm pricing, but really interesting. And then the second most expensive is the handmade one from Portugal. And then the last one, which is £8, is actually from Dunelm. So my point is, if you've got a strong brand, you can command a higher price for what you sell. Ultimately, it's brands that shape both our perceptions and our purchasing behaviour. They make products and services less substitutable too. So if anyone's bought a designer coat, this is a great example as well. You know, why did you buy the designer one when you could have gone to M&S and got, you know, not exactly the same coat, but in terms of function, they both keep you warm. It's because of the brand. Focus area 2 is all about getting psyched. Obviously, what I love doing. And let's begin with one of my golden rules. And this is what I say to my clients all the time. And please have this filter on when you're writing or generating content or in anything that you do. If there's one piece of advice I could give you, it is never about you. It is always about them. Even when it really is about you. Like, let's say you've won an award. It's actually not the fact that you've won the award that you should be talking about and really, you know, highlighting. It's highlighting how you're the best company to help your ideal clients. That's the thing that really matters. So yeah, it's great you won the award, but don't go on about that. You know, take more time to say, we've won the award, we're so proud because we can now help our clients do X, Y, Z. You know, it's more about that. And I say ideal because you cannot, and this is another golden rule, you cannot be all things to all men, especially not if you want to optimize your results fast. And another reason why you can't is unless you've got an army of people, then it's really difficult. Even Amazon won't appeal to absolutely everyone. So who are your ideal clients? Do you really know, or do you just have a vague idea? This is a step changer. The more you understand who your ideal client is, the more effective your marketing will become. So it's really, really worth spending the time to create profiles. But where do you start? Obviously, this is where data and tech comes in. The richer your data, the more insights you have about your ideal client and are better able to engage and convert them. So you've got things that you can use. If you have a CRM system like HubSpot, you can use that for insights. Nowadays, we don't just have surveys, we've got great chatbot surveys, which are really engaging, like Wizoo. So you can ask your ideal clients, segment them and ask them what their opinions are, test your hypotheses. And then finally, you know, things like social listening. So you have things like Brand Watch, where you can monitor social and really get into kind of like patterns and trends and gain insight from that. That's a really good one also for product development, service development. But what if you have no data? A lot of us are startups, entrepreneurs, starting their first business, never done this before. Don't worry, because this is where my absolute favourite, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and psychology comes in. Because this can actually help you determine who your ideal clients are and how to attract them to. And I'll walk through an example with you. So what's Maslow's hierarchy of needs? And apologies for those that already are aware of this. What he postulated that we're motivated by a hierarchy of needs. And the more basic the need, the more that we have to meet it. And if you look at the triangle here, you can see that the lower down the need on the triangle, the more pressing it is to be obviously fulfilled. So a great example of that is, you know, if we don't feed ourselves, then we can't do anything else. That's, you know, job done. Or unless you're a true martyr, I very much doubt that anyone thinks about self-actualization when faced with impending death. So, you know, so there is an order of things, but our external circumstances, what's going on, and also our individual differences, you know, do have a part to play in that. We might well sacrifice a burger if we want to go and see our friend. So, yeah. So let's see how this works in reality. Let's say you've just opened a vegan restaurant and you've used psychological segmentation to split your ideal clients into 3 core groups. If you overlay Maslow's theory, the answer is clear as to who is motivated to purchase and what levers to pull for each. So I've split this into 3 again. We've got our first ideal client, and they've got a real dietary need. So, you know, they've got issues. If they don't eat this particular diet, then their health is going to suffer. So this really feeds into the lowest level on the triangle, which is psychological, physiological and safety needs. Then we've got vegans and their belief system. So, you know, vegans, you know, it's a lot about, you know, belonging, love, esteem, you know, not just for humans, but for animals. And then finally, you've got the health conscious, or even those that are just curious eaters. And this is all about health and wanting to be the best that you possibly can be. So this plays into self-actualization and the very top level. So now you've got your 3 different groups, you can start also looking at the size of each of those audience to determine who your priorities are and the best way to market your latest product or service. And now it's time to really start creating profiles. And there is going to be, I'm sending you a very detailed template with an example as well, so that you can create your own. So really, the first starting point is demographics. I think we're all, you know, really familiar with demographics, and they're really great because they help you define who your ideal client is, and give you the top line information. So you've got gender, age, occupation, geolocation, education, status, those types of things. And this information is especially useful if you're offering appeals to specific generations. But this doesn't explain why they buy. For this, we need to go a step further. We need to determine psychographics. And this is a really exciting slide, well, for me. Because the psychographics is what really helps you appreciate their lifestyle and their personality. So you really start to get to know them. And this is, you know, this is game changing. This is going to help you optimally engage, leverage and influence their purchasing decisions. In terms of psychographics itself, it covers a number of things, and they're all listed down in the hexagon. But the one I really wanted to focus on here was personality. So, for example, if you are targeting a CEO of a company, then they are more than likely, now obviously there are exceptions to the rule, but they're more than likely to be an ENTJ or an ENTJ, or they could be an ENFJ actually, but TJ is the most common. So if you understand their personality type, you can really get into their shoes or their heads. And a really good reference point actually is this test, which is 16personalities.com. So if you go on there, it gives you a whole load of additional information about this particular person. So their work habits and their career types, their behaviours, their relationships. It's fascinating to do. I did it again the other day, and I haven't changed in over 20 years. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing. So now we're really getting to know who your ideal clients are. It means, you know, that you can start powerfully generating the leads and sales you need through a more targeted approach that delivers a better customer experience, so personalised style, tailored products, services and offers to the right customer at the right time, and an improved return on investment, because you're going to get far better conversions, much better quality. And research shows us that using these methods like psychographic segmentation to personalised marketing is extremely effective. And there's just a few of the stats that I found online here. So 90% of companies saw a 3 times increase in the return on investment from their personalisation efforts, increase profitability in the year after their personalisation efforts, boost revenues by 15%, reduce customer acquisition costs by up to 50%, so increasing your profits, etc., etc. There's a whole slew of those, and a link at the back of the presentation for you to look at more. But you can replicate this success too. You know, it's not just the big companies. And if you really want to improve your marketing and increase your conversion, you also have to add a final third element, which is key drivers and barriers in your profiles too. So these are the ones, these are the essentials that you have to have in your profiles: demographics, which is the who, psychographics, the why, and then drivers and barriers, which is kind of the what, or why, you know, what. So what are my pain points? What are my needs? You know, what are my motivations and challenges? And in the template that I provided, I've also added in behaviours, technographics, and if you're B2B, then company profile too, because these all play a part in really honing in, defining who your ideal clients are. They're the ones you want.
The graphics bit is so interesting, isn't it? How that's really starting to affect marketing in a way that it didn't 10 years ago.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's just growing and growing. And you know what's happened recently, you know, with everything. I'm in not wanting to sound trite, but I'm really happy that people are really embracing technology now.
Yeah.
And you know, by blending the two together, you do get a very powerful result.
It's interesting. People are saying in the comments there about you know, using these techniques for their clients, but not actually turning them in on their own businesses. And it's really interesting because we're literally just doing this exercise on ourselves, and it's something that you would be constantly doing for clients, and we would be constantly doing for clients. But it's really powerful if you can remember to use these tools on yourself.
I mean, it's the cobbler's shoes, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm actually taking time to revisit all my stuff right now as well. It's massively important, but not my brand, because that's all good. So our third and final focus area is best friends forever. So what's the best friend? So I had a look online, and there's like loads of different quotes out there. And depending on, you know, what your view of a best friend is, will depend which one resonates with you. But the one that resonated with me for our session today really was the one that I've highlighted in a big gold frame at the end, which is very simple. It says best friends, it's a promise, not a label. And I really love that, because it's what you do that counts, not just, you know, what's said. So why does your brand need to be a best friend forever? You know, why bother? Why put all that effort? Well, just like a best friend, your brand needs to make and constantly keep its promises in order to build vital trust with your ideal clients. That's your potential clients, but also your existing. Without trust, there's doubt, there's skepticism, and there's no relationship. And with no relationship, there is no engagement, and certainly no loyalty. Think about one of your favourite brands. What makes you buy it despite it not being best in class? And the example I'm given here is, are you a Mac or a PC person? And there is a link which you can play later and watch the advert. But basically this guy, his name is Mackenzie Book, MacBook. And what he's doing is there's a rivalry between, you know, Mac and Microsoft, and, you know, it's been going on for ages. And what he's doing is, in this advert, he extols all the benefits. He lists all the reasons why the Surface Pro is so much better than the Mac. And I listened to it and I thought, oh, right, okay, yeah, that's interesting. And then when I went to make my purchase decision, I chose Apple. I chose the Mac. I don't care that it hasn't got a touch screen. These things are not important to me. I wanted the Apple because I love Apple.
That emotional thing's so important. It's interesting as well, isn't it? There's a really great book called Decoded, which I'm now looking around for to see who wrote it, but I'll drop a link to people afterwards. But they've actually shown now that what happens in your brain when you take a product that is your favorite brand off the shelf is that you get a dopamine hit that's the same as when you see somebody you love. So the choice of engaging with your preferred brand, and it only happens with your number one brand. If that's like out of stock in a consumer goods environment or what, you know, a Mac environment, you're not going to be prepared to go to. You're not going to get that same hit from the second thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I can really relate to that. So we're going back to Maslow, my friends. Why am I loyal to Apple? Because it fulfills all of my needs. It satisfies my basic need for a laptop, which relates to physiological, but it does way more than that. I trust Apple. You know, I've been using Apple for years. You know, I feel safe with them. I really identify as an Apple user. You know, it's my tribe. I feel that I really belong in that group. I'm not going to lie about it. I love the kudos it gives me having Apple. So that fits into self-esteem. And it also does help me be the best I can and achieve self-actualization. So, you know, I'm working on an Apple Mac now. I'm talking to you now through Apple. This is helping me grow. I'm also using my Apple Watch and the activity rings to help me reach my goals and grow. And if you think about it, the brands with most value all support this idea of self-actualization and personal growth and development. So just, you know, the top three. So Amazon, you've got your Alexa skills, So there's things like 60-second life coach. Google, you've got obviously loads of information and knowledge, but they do all sorts of things. They even sell thermometers. Did anyone know that? Anyway, interesting business model. And then you've got Apple, which, you know, I see is, you know, empowering my abilities with tech and helping me progress. So my top tip here is ensure your brand delivers on Maslow's hierarchy of needs and get to that top tip, which is self-actualization. And how can your brand create this loyalty? How can you do this? So one way for you to achieve the success that have been enjoyed by the really, you know, big brands that we've seen today is by forming stronger relationships with your clients and becoming their best friend, your ideal clients. And this can be through exposure. The more I see you, the more I like you. Similarity, like attracts like. I know that we've been brought up on opposites attract, but they really don't, and they definitely don't keep. Reciprocity, it has to be give and take in a relationship. Self-disclosure, you know, I feel really comfortable with you, you're my confidant, you're my support. And added value, you know, you make life better. And just to point out that the words that I've highlighted in bold, they actually relate to the key characteristics of best friends. And a really great example of this, and these guys don't know that I'm giving them a shout out, so to speak, is Knowlton. Knowlton are a digital and social agency, and they just nail it. So in terms of exposure, they use social media to build familiarity. In terms of similarity, you know, they're always showing like really great humorous videos of them dressed up as characters. Lloyd's there in the wig, and you really relate to them. Have a look at that. That will really make you laugh. That little video perk you up for today. And then reciprocity. I've been practicing that literally all night. They always respond to your comments and they do it really quickly. Self-disclosure, you know, these guys aren't shy. They're very authentic and they often share their bloopers because, you know, we're not all perfect and we get things wrong. We're all human. And then the last thing is added value. They do all of this with really friendly banter that keeps their clients, i.e. me, coming back for more. So now the final kind of section of this is me trying to help you to create your valuable brand. So, and really pivotal to success in this lies in creating a compelling brand essence. So what is a brand essence? It is the DNA of your brand. It's the guiding light. It's the three things that you use as a brand lens to make sure that you are consistent in everything. And it's the distillation of the following: the image you want to project to change those mindsets or influence them, your brand personality, acting like a best friend, your company history, because you have to be authentic in what you do, and that will influence your brand. And then a set of three benefits, so functional, emotional, and self-expressive. And that's all about your products and service. And this is the bit that I love doing most when I sit down and I work with my clients. It's really getting under the skin of things and really creating a brand essence that is not only right for them, but really resonates with their ideal clients, and also future-proofs their business. If I look at, you know, the market and the trends and what's happening in a particular sector.
So one of the questions I had for you, Jane, actually, which I'm going to spring on you now because I didn't think to, and there's a couple more questions in the chat that I'll go back to in a minute, is obviously one of the things that's happened to a lot of businesses in the last period with COVID is that they've had to really, you know, fundamentally shift maybe from a business to consumer offer or business to business offer to the other one and all of that kind of stuff. And one of the things that's kind of like interested me, but I haven't properly filtered yet, is you know, how have they managed to do that, being true to their original brand essence if they had one, or have they fundamentally had to restructure their brand essence? And I just wondered what you thought about that, or what you thought the right thing to be doing around that is. I have to do that effectively. Have the companies that have been successful been successful by staying true to the brand essence and reconfiguring around that, or have they had to really shift their brand essence?
I think it's all down to the client. So it's not so much about the channels, it's about your ideal client, because your ideal client can be in a number of channels. So it's not so much whether you weren't online and then you had to go online, that kind of thing. It's more about if your ideal clients changed, let's say you were servicing the hospitality sector and now you've got to service finance because that's where the money is, then then you should look to see whether your brand essence still speaks to that ideal target audience.
Okay, I'm just going to jump back before you carry on. I'm sorry, I don't know whether I'm interrupting you or answering questions that we haven't got to. So there's a couple of questions just in the chat here. So one of the questions goes back to the bit that you did on personality sort of profiling.
Yeah.
And just a question there from Clive about, have you got a specific view about disc profiling versus other ways of profiling? Do you know what disc profiling is?
Yeah, I have heard of disc profiling. It was a long time ago, so I'm not up to date with it. But I mean, I can always come back, I can always look at it and then answer Clive's question. That's not a problem.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
If you let me know what the question is,
I'll drop it to you afterwards, and Jane can come back.
I'll have a look. Yeah, because I mean, throughout my career, I've worked for some really big brands, so they're always profiling us and putting us into them, which is great, because then you get to understand, how to interact with others in the best way and what motivates them.
And just another question that's there. I don't know if you have a view on it. I think I don't know. My view is that some people don't think about how valuable their brand is as an asset to them, because it has got intangible value. But on most people's asset books, it's got very tangible value as well. Is why do so many people seem to not bother to trademark their or register their brands these days? Because that's pretty much something you or I would advise they did straight away, I guess. So if you've got a view on why do you think, it might be a rhetorical question, I guess, but do you come across people who aren't registering their brands and aren't recognizing the value that their brand has?
I mean, yeah, of course, because if they don't understand, you don't know what you don't know. And you don't understand. I think really when you start to get into trademarking and things like that, you tend to be a brand that is bigger, and I think bigger brands obviously have a bigger brand asset to protect, and so therefore they're more likely to do it. But if you could do it from the off and your intention is to grow a really big brand, then absolutely I would do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the slides. We okay for time? I guess I've answered a few questions just now, so hopefully.
I think we should be fine, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So what's the key to a brilliant brand essence? So the secret here is you need to create 3 guiding pillars that win not just heads but hearts too, and that's really important because there are so many studies that they've done on people and what motivates them to purchase, and it's not just about yes it ticks the box, like the Apple Mac example. It's not just yes it works. It's a whole load of other stuff as well. And basically that breaks down into 3 things. To give you a really strong brand essence, you have to have a pillar that creates an emotional connection and an emotional link with people. So an emotive pillar. You need something that is of competitive advantage. So something exclusive, what's different about you, what do you excel at? As your second pillar. And then the third one is, and it's fundamental, of course, it has to work. So it has to be effective. So I'm now going to go through Adoray and use this as a live example of how you create brand essence. So my brand essence is positive, inspiring, expert. So Helena, we were talking about, do you need to change your brand essence? I think no, for me personally, no, because that's generic enough, but focused enough for me to be able to you know, resonate with a lot of CEOs across a lot of sectors. So if I have to switch because something goes wrong in the macro environment, then I can do quite easily without having to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Can I just ask a question before you launch into this? Can you just put a Y or an N for a yes or no into the chat as to whether you have this for your businesses or not? Because I'd be really interested to see who does and who doesn't, just in terms of sort of reading the room and understanding who has or hasn't done this kind of process for their business, just out of interest. That would be great.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Thank you. And if you haven't, obviously I'm going to say you need to do this, but the reason is because it's going to give you so much focus. So if something's not positive, if it's not inspiring and it's not showing expertise, I don't post about it, full stop. So it just gives you, you know, in terms of content, it gives you like real focus across everything. You know, it makes sure that you are acting consistently, because none of us have got a schizophrenic friend. We, you know, have friends, and our best friends we know inside out and back to front, and we can imagine how they would behave in any sort of situation, and that gives us comfort and builds trust even more. So how does this play out in Adoray branding? So positive, inspiring expert, 3 pillars at the bottom. So it comes out in my colours. So colour psychology, I've got a lovely coral pink, living coral actually, which is the colour of 2019, which is significant of hope and care. It tells us, you know, it's that the kind of, you know, comforting colour. And the second one is for inspiration. I've got yellow, which is all about illumination. And then the last one is teal. Blue is the colour of security, which is why a lot of banks go for the blue colour, and healthcare. It comes through in my design. So I use the hexagon to reflect my brand essence in a contemporary way, because of my progressive forward-thinking nature. So you've got here positive, inspiring expert. Again, you've got positive connections. So the lines and the dots represent positive connections that strong brands make with their ideal clients. Inspiring, it's all about, you know, the hexagon not only has beautiful symmetry, but it's the strongest shape in nature. For example, the Giant's causeway. And what I try to do is, you know, to strengthen my understanding about branding and psychology all the time, to inspire my clients that I work with, and hopefully you. And then scientific, with strong geometry, the hexagon combined with the dots gives a real scientific feel. So the marketing that Adoray does isn't fluffy, it's really driven by science and data. Then it comes through, as I said, in how Adoray communicates. So even the name Adoray came from the brand essence. So the ad is from the positive and adding value. The ray is, you know, illuminating, you know, ideas, inspiration. And Array really talks about my expertise, because although I absolutely love and believe and focus on the branding side of things, I have literally done everything in marketing in one shape or form, right the way through to TV advertising. So if it's not positive, it's not inspiring, it doesn't show expertise, as I said, I don't post about it on social media. And there, in that, it just stops all this kind of, oh, what do I talk about? What is it? You know, you've got your 3 funnels. It massively helps. And of course, in what Adoray does. So from the positive side of things, my ambition and aim is giving back 10% of my profits to Mind. So they've got like local subsidiaries around the country. On LinkedIn, I had, oh my God, the best feedback. It's from a lovely lady called Amy Ree, and my post on Maslow's triangle actually inspired a piece of work that she did, which was a dissertation, and she got first in it. So I was absolutely delighted about that. I couldn't have been happier. And then, of course, the expert is obviously, you know, very grateful to have been invited along to share my knowledge with you today. So how do we start winning today and tomorrow? So I've just put down a list for you. I love a list. I hope you do too, of short-term focus wins and long-term focus gains as well. So short-term, use psychology and tech to help you identify who your ideal clients are, really get to know them, create a detailed profile of your ideal clients, and go back to it and refine as you learn. You know, you don't have to know everything on day one, you know, but keep going back to it and refine and refine. And you can use my template to help you do that. Create a compelling brand essence, using, again, the template that I'll provide you, that really resonates with your ideal client. And don't worry about all the other, oh, but I'm going to put someone up. You won't. Just focus on your ideal client, because that's the client you want anyway. And then long-term focus gains is, you know, developing your brand so it acts as a best friend to your ideal clients. You know, being consistent in all you do, you know, creating that brand essence so that, you know, you have a brand lens and pillars that are going to guide you through everything that you do. Ensure your brand values really resonate and that they have integrity. Share your thoughts, your ideas, even your dream, you know, that whole thing about, you know, sharing some of yourself, you know, in order for people to, you know, to really engage with you. People find that massively attractive, you know, as a best friend. And then hone and target your communication at your ideal clients. You know, interact regularly with them, and increase awareness. Now, this doesn't mean you've got to, you know, post 3 times a day. You know, I would always advocate it's better that you do something, you know, put a piece of quality content out there than any old rubbish. But you do have to, you know, build that as you can and as your business grows. And then cover what your clients are interested in, not just what you want to talk about. That's a pretty obvious one, I guess. And then be open. And in fact, the inspiration, and thank you, the inspiration for this actually came from some feedback that Sync gave. Someone said, yeah, they'd love a webinar on the psychology of branding. So here I am. And then be open and transparent in your communication always, and listen to your clients. Don't just talk at them, and then take action if they give you feedback. So that's it for today. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Really, really hope that you have learned something, that you take away something really valuable from this, and that you use the templates. If you need a helping hand, even if it's just a quick chat, then I'm always happy to have a chat. Helena will back me up on that, virtual or otherwise. So if you've got any questions beyond this, then please get in touch, because I'd love to get to know you all a bit more anyway. That would be great.
I'm going to just go to, has anybody else got any more questions now? Because I can either do those from the chat, sorry, that's my front door blowing open, or I can do those if you want to actually ask them. I can pop you on screen and you can ask them. But anybody have any? I think I can pop them on screen. I might have just overclaimed their silence. I hope I can pop them on screen. I'm pretty sure I can pop them on screen. Has anybody got any more questions? We've got a couple more minutes.
Maybe we need to take it away and absorb it a bit first, and then come back and ask questions. But that's fine. Just, you know, fire me an email or just give me a call, whatever. Yeah, it was coffee at Sync.
It was in those heady days where you can meet up and have a coffee. I'm definitely going to have a coffee with you very soon, Jane. I mean, the thing where Jane and I are both just really, really, really passionate is about the fact that, you know, the days are gone of marketing being some fluffy thing that people did because it looked good and was nice and that kind of thing. And the honing down of getting into particularly the psychology of what the consumer wants and needs, and being able to understand that. And still, one of my favorite case studies on that side of things, Jane, which you highlighted so brilliantly, was, you know, everybody used to use mosaic profiling, right? Which was, well, if you live in this postcode and have this kind of house and this kind of car, then you're this. And that's just so not true anymore, you know, in terms of the understanding that we have. And when Pedigree Pet Foods were launching into the dry food category, they were really trying to target their marketing spend against the people who were most likely to be a premium pet food buyer. And they were trying to identify how they could find the premium pet food buyer. So they started with all the normal things like, oh, it'll be the people with pedigree dogs. No. It'll be the people who are members of the kennel club. No. It'll be, are there dog owners on? You can start guessing if you want to start guessing. But anyway, they went through all of this quantitative data to try and understand, and then they decided they'd run some focus groups. And in the focus groups, people started talking about, does anybody want to have a guess before I do the big reveal?
What?
People started talking about where their dog slept. Almost 100% correlation between people prepared to spend money on extremely expensive pet food that was a new category that wasn't established, that nobody heard about, and the dog sleeping on their bed.
Yeah.
Because it revealed the degree of intimacy that the dog was properly part of their family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that basically just gave them, in terms of competitive advantage, that gave them the global market, that insight.
The thing is, it's
really critical.
Yeah, it is, because you can be the same age, but be completely different in terms of your beliefs, you know, and that drives, you know, you're motivated by different things completely.
Yeah.
So it's the psychographics that really make the difference, not just the age, because you can get older people that act young people. I mean, how many times have we said, oh God, they act a lot older for their years, or younger, or whatever it is. So yeah, it's about you as a person, your personality.
And so that became their golden question, right? They stopped asking anything else in their data capture. They started asking that question and then targeting people, only marketing to those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally changed their strategy.
Their ideal client. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't waste your money on all the others. Yeah, absolutely. Get the highest return on investment. Brilliant.
Brilliant. If nobody's got any questions, because there is a lot to digest here, Jane's very generously offered to send you these follow-ups and these templates that you can use to start to do this on your own business. And by all means, come and talk to her, or come and talk to us. So, you know, you've got a great toolkit here, guys, if you can find the time to turn it inwards on your own business, which I know is always the challenge. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, Una's asked a question. Have I missed Una? 1 second. Sorry, let me just go back.
I'm so sorry, I can't see everyone. Can I see everyone?
How do I go about starting focus groups with my potential customers? So it's really interesting. Do you want to talk to that, Jane, or shall I talk to that? Because we've got some experience of doing that during COVID.
Yeah, you can talk about, I mean, I have run focus groups myself, but yeah, if you've got more recent experience, I've even done behind the mirror thing. But yeah.
I love a good focus.
I love that, yeah.
Una, where you need to start is you need to be really clear who you think your ideal client is, and you need to go and select a group of people who have those attributes, whether that's age, sex, some kind of psychographic, attitudinal predisposition, which it could be in your case, knowing a little bit about your business. And then you need to get enough of them in a room, or in a Zoom room, as it now is, to have a chat about what you want to chat about. And the recruitment is the pain in the neck. You can use social media to start to do that and start to find likely groups in order to start to populate your focus groups. But you'll still have quite a significant dropout rate from people who say they'll come to people who do come, especially now we're doing it remotely, because it's not the same as being able to turn up and be given all those lovely things from the 10 years ago of, like, you'll get a glass of wine and some nice nibbles and that kind of thing. It's not quite the same experience. So you have to factor in some dropout. And then it's a question of being really clear about your research objectives and getting the brief right. And then it's getting the really good discussion guide. And then it's being able to work with somebody to pull out the key insights that have come from that and turn that into the strategy that you follow. So we can talk to you more about that. Jane can talk to you more about that. Whatever you prefer, really.
Yeah, and like a really key thing is make sure you invite more people, because people do drop out for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. I don't think have I missed any more people heading off? No problem, Ina. Okay. Thank you all ever so much. If you've got any more questions, you can send them to us afterwards. We'll send you a little questionnaire just seeing how you've enjoyed it tomorrow, and some details from Jane, and you can come back to us with any more questions. But thank you so much, Jane. It's been really brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Learnt a lot as ever. And hopefully we'll catch up with you for a coffee in person.
That'd be really lovely. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you.
Bye everybody. Thank you.
Bye.